absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you for having me.
This is good. This is very good. So we're recognizing International Women's Day, and that's a time where we recognize achievements of women and their contributions. And I think it makes so much sense to have you on board as part of this dialogue, given certainly your work in media and with the Toronto Raptors sideline reporting and the stuff you're doing with NBA TV Canada and all that good stuff. And so maybe kind of as a starting point, if you can talk about the significance of International Women's Day from your perspective.
To me, blazed lots of trails, broken down lots of barriers. It's a lot of sacrifice. I see it's a lot of progression.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know where to start. Like if I look at my own career or my own industry as a whole, I know that women in sports has come like so far, and there's still a long way to go. But like, even the fact that Raptors have a female assistant coach, and she's one of 5, I believe, in the NBA currently. That says something. But at the same time, it also says something that there's only 5.
Right.
And then I look at like Caitlin Clark and what she's doing and on the women's like basketball international stage. I actually tweeted this out the other day that her success is our success. And so I was really happy to see that she broke the NCAA record, because it goes beyond genders, and
Right.
it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so I mean, there's so much that's so multifaceted, but I mean, I'm happy that we get the recognition on that day, and that the Toronto Raptors even recognize the month of March as Women's Empowerment Month. So it's
Yeah.
great.
Let's start talking about your journey, right? And again, as mentioned, working with the Raptors as a sideline reporter, but you're with the organization and in other roles, producing and whatnot and hosting. But this one is a bit different because you're front and center like all the time.
I hesitate to say front and center per se, because I feel like the players will always be front and center. I just
Fair
kind
enough.
of
Fair enough.
support the narrative and try to get their stories out as best as I
Yes.
can. But yeah, no, I mean, this position is definitely unique, especially just even in the overall landscape of sport media, because I mean, there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of communication through multiple different directions
Yep.
between your bosses, between team staff, between the players, like and then your own production crew, just making sure that everybody's on the same page, and that you're kind of keeping an even keel throughout the entire process. And that's not always the case. Sometimes things can get very stressful, or you're tired and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And also giving people grace to understand that they're probably tired. So yeah, it's definitely a unique job.
So talk about how you landed in the position and what was it? Was it an arduous process? What how did it come into be?
Yeah, I mean, man, it kind of started a while back. Like I was still in university. I was playing basketball. I had a knee injury. My first year university, it was very like depressing for me, because I was planning on playing professional basketball. I was planning on going like fairly far in my athletic career.
Right.
And so that was humbling, but then also I had to focus and reshift my focus on something that I could do while I was in the healing process. And that's kind of where like my degree kicked in, because I was studying sport media. I knew that eventually I wanted to get into media.
Okay.
It was one of those like, I'll just take my time after I'm done playing type of thing.
Got you.
But I'm happy to
I'll
kind of
play first and then I'll get into media.
exactly. That was the
Got you.
initial plan. Yeah, exactly. But then yeah, when the knee injury kicked in, I was looking for more opportunities in the sport media field while I was recovering. And sure enough, like it's almost one of those things where I don't know if you believe in manifesting anything, or like putting your mind towards something and then boom, it kind of just happens. But like I started just like, okay, like without even asserting myself so much or like really trying hard, like an opportunity just kind of fell in my lap of
Mhm.
volunteering. Did you want to volunteer for this event that you could hold a door open for like these people who are coming into town? And I was like, sure. I mean, I'm
Right.
on crutches, but
Oh
like I'll
wow.
hold it with my crutch.
Right.
Like,
Right.
sure.
Right.
It's
Wow.
better than being depressed in my bed.
That's right.
So that's essentially what I did. But the funny thing is that crutch literally ended up being a conversation starter with all the people that were walking through that door, being like, what are you doing? I should be
Right.
holding the door for you, blah,
That's
blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah. And like
Yep.
the people I was talking to ended up being Leo Routins, John Saunders when he was alive.
Mm.
And he was amazing. Yeah, like I had nothing but good impressions on that interaction with him, that first
Yeah.
conversation.
Yes.
And then eventually Akil, and then Dana McKeel. And so like all these people are kind of like in the basketball circle in Toronto.
Right.
And so when I met with Akil, I knew exactly who Akil was because he was the host of NBA TV Canada.
Right. Yep.
Still is. And I wanted to like just pick his mind. And like that's like, I'm like, yeah, if I could do anything in the Canadian landscape, it's definitely just want to talk about, I just want to talk about basketball. So let me like see if there's opportunities there. And then sure enough, like the following year, there was an assignment of a job shadow. And that's when I asked Akil if I could job shadow him, and he said yes. And then sure enough, like I loved it so much. I said, I will work for free to be around show
Sure.
production,
Sure.
sweep the floors, anything.
Yep.
He's like, well, we need a note taker
Okay.
basically for our
Yep.
meetings.
Yep.
So if you want to come to our next meeting and just sit and just take notes, great. And I was like, sick, done. And then did that, didn't say a word, didn't say a peep, just like typed up as best as I could. He dropped me off in the office, and that's where I met who would end up becoming like my mentor for the next 8 years and one of my biggest sponsors and support system, Dwayne Watson. And so yeah, so that's kind of how the gates opened. And then from there, it's I swear, like it's one of those things where like, you know how it is, like you open the door, and then as long as you work hard, that door will stay open and open other doors. And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And this is
Right.
all the same time that I'm trying to push myself to be on air.
Yep.
I started hosting a segment on the Raptors Instagram stories. I pitched it. I had a producer that also like really helped me with it. And so I ended up hosting that. But then, yeah, like I said, the pandemic hit just as things were getting going, of course.
Of course.
And so it shut down. And then eventually out of it came George Floyd. And then I think the media, especially in Canada, took a real hard look in the mirror and realized that there just isn't enough Black people in media, and then especially Black women, like the whole movement that sparked, because then all of a sudden, like a lot of prioritization happened in my career. They're like, wait, we need to give Savanna more resources, more opportunities. Why? Because we just need to help like this community develop, and she has already shown that she wants it. She's already been on air. Now it's just like, let's promote it and let's keep it going, basically. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm very grateful for a variety of people that have helped in that process.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that's definitely like got me to where I am today on Sportsnet. You know, that's like something, it's one of those jobs you don't just wake up and get. Like,
No. Two things that came to mind as you were talking was that point exactly. There's a lot that's gone on behind the scenes, and there's a lot that's taken you to get to where you've gotten to, but you had to put in the work nonetheless to do that, right? And so that was the first one. The other one was maybe a sort of play on with the whole crutch thing, but and you know, you're holding the door, but you got to be in the spaces. Like there's certain spaces you just have to be in to make things happen. So whether
yep.
you're there with one foot and one crutch or not, like
Yeah.
you know, you were there, and that was significant. So I want those are sort of two quick things that came to mind as you were talking. Nice. How helpful? I mean, it's one of these questions where I think I know the answer. We'll ask it anyways. But how helpful was your basketball playing career to where you're at now, and able, well, for a couple of things. One, to obviously know the sport, knowing the sport.
Yeah.
But then for those who you're interacting with, the players you're interviewing with, the coaches, for them to know that you know what you're talking about.
Like when it comes to media, I honestly think it's night and day between people who used to play and people who never played. Like, and I mean on any level. Like
Right.
I'm talking as much as high school, like grade 9, high school, 1A.
Right.
Like I could tell the difference between, yeah, like anybody who's played at some organized level versus people who just, and the funny thing is I find it's always the people who are the loudest or the people who never played, picked up a basketball in their life. And so when I'm talking to the players myself, and not just players, but the coaches as well, like I'm coming at it from a like a basketball lens of, and a lot of like even empathy, because these players are put in some hard positions, and I get it. You're like, well, they make millions. Yeah, but that doesn't negate the fact that they're a 19-year-old kid with the pressure of the world on them.
Right.
And like, no, there's no money that can change that mentality, like that could relieve that stress. And so, you know, I'm talking to, you know, one of our rookies or something, I'll kind of keep in mind that, like, listen, and I'll even preface it like, I know you're 19 and you're playing with men that have been in the weight room for like 10 plus years in
Right.
their life. but what are you doing today that could help you, you know, get a little stronger tomorrow, or like refine your game here? And, you know, I think that little extra layer of empathy, like it doesn't always have to be the ins and outs, like, oh, yes, you said a down screen and then you
Right.
cut up to an elevator screen. And da, 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 da. Like it's not like I'm trying to prove anything. I don't need to prove my basketball knowledge. It's just like knowing that I know type of thing.
Yep.
And I think that's what kind of shines through. But I mean, I don't mind getting nitty gritty once in a while, but that's
Sure.
just, but then you kind of like, that's the thing, is that you got to play the balance because you can lose the audience that way. And
Yes.
I find that once again, like people who, especially people who never really played, it's almost like they're overcompensating by doing too much.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
So yeah, it's just yeah, that's I definitely feel like my basketball experience though, like has super like definitely helped me. Um I think it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a requirement, but I almost feel like it should be, because you, how can you put yourself in somebody else's shoes? How can you critique anybody else if you've never done it yourself?
Right. Important. And I'm wondering for you, who did you see to make you feel it was possible to do what you do?
Yeah. Oh, so my original inspiration happened with Sage Steele. So
Okay.
I was like 16 years old. She was covering the NBA finals. I think she was reporting, and then she was also hosting a little bit on the desk. And I just didn't know that it was possible to like, you know, to essentially do this line of work,
Hmm.
because I never saw any woman that looked like me doing this line of work.
Right.
And Sage was, I'm pretty sure like she's biracial. She
Hmm.
had hair that looked like mine, skin that looked like mine. And I was like, oh, and at the time I was 16, I was like playing basketball still. And I was like,
Right.
I didn't know that you can just do that.
Right.
That's an option for me. So that was my first original inspiration. Since then though, like refining it, like Roz Gold on Woode, she's amazing. I think she's incredible at her job in storytelling.
Hmm.
Um, and then of course the legends like Doris Burke and stuff like that, like it's a given. So, and Holly Rowe's amazing. So, but yeah, but definitely Roz Gold's probably my favorite reporter in the NBA.
Have you had an opportunity to meet any of them, to tell them or speak, interact at all? Had that
Oh
opportunity?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's like the really cool part of the job. It's like you don't want to fangirl, but like
But you
it's like
got a little bit.
because like they're now your colleagues essentially,
Yes. Yes.
and like
Yes.
they
Yes.
might hit you up for like even some like information, because especially when you're at the national level, like for example, like Roz is, like she can't, you know, you can't split yourself into a million directions. You can't follow every single team on the
Right.
beat.
Right.
So when they have a national game, which might be once a season for the Raptors, a team like the Raptors,
Right.
um, you know, she's gonna come in like, you know, with all the stuff that her producer might give her, but
Right.
the real information, the real core of stuff that you'll find out, nitty gritty stuff, is going to be from the reporter that covers that team. It's those interactions that, you know, I'm like, I feel special. And
Hmm.
then on top of that, like she's just a really cool person. I've actually gotten to know her like outside of the work front.
Hmm.
Like her and I spent time in Vegas, like summer league together. When I was down in LA last season, we had a few days there, and then there was an event, and then her and I were hanging out at the event, and she basically
Yep.
said, she told me, she's like, "You're my little sister." So
Uh,
I'm like, ah, yes, we made it.
that's amazing. Again,
Great.
and given the significance she would have to you in terms of, the impact, right, and to get that kind of feedback, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I don't even know where that must have made put you on cloud nine, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, and the best part about Roz in particular, is that she's so through and through authentic, which is hard to find, because like she even said, if you have any questions, if you need any answers, if you want any perspective, you have my number, you hit me up. And literally like there has been times where I didn't know what to do in a certain situation. Actually, one of my first games last season, our rookie Christian Coloco,
Hmm.
he got into a fight in the Miami Heat game, and me still being a relatively green reporter, I was like, oh crud, how do I cover this? Like I was not expecting to cover a fight for my first like 3 games I've
Right.
ever covered in the NBA.
Right.
And then literally texted her on the spot being like, hey, one of our players just got in a fight. I don't know what to ask. How do I address this? And she was like, okay, where is it, a walk-off interview, or is it a like in the locker room? I said, I think this is going to be more so a locker room interview. She's like, okay, all you're gonna say, don't put any personal opinion, personal spin on it. All you're gonna say is, walk me through what happened.
Mm,
Like take me through. And I was like, huh, bah,
perfect. Oh my
genius.
gosh.
Like so simple,
Yeah.
so little, but it's
Yeah.
genius, because like you don't know what to do when you're in the situations until you're going through the situations. And the
Yes.
fact that she responded to me within like a 15-minute time span, basically, like in the heat of things, was crazy. And then her and I have had separate like phone calls before about other things. So she's, like I said, I can't speak highly enough about her. So it's great to like, it's like don't meet your idols, but I'm happy I met her because
Yeah.
she's one that gives back, and she inspires me to be as available and to give back to others as well.
Right. Yeah. Truth. Truth.
Yeah.
So then it leads me to ask, if you had, practical advice for young women looking to get into that space, or who have aspirations, who've seen you on television and you inspired them to let them know what's possible. What would you say to them?
I guess it depends on what like stage they're at. Like if they're just like, is it initial intrigue? Is it like out you're already in school for it? Or like you just graduated? It really depends on what stage you're at. But I feel
Mhm.
like just getting as much experience and exposure like helps a ton. Like I don't think Michael Grange even remembers this, but I first met him when I was in high school. Like that's when I was like once again like 16 years old. I was first finding like I think I like this media thing. And I'm actually very lucky. I consider myself very lucky to even think like that early on in my life that I wanted to do media, because
Right.
like not a whole lot of people even know what they want to do until like they're like mid 20s or whatever. And that's
Right.
totally okay. I was
Right.
like just very fortunate to know like at 16 after I saw stage, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Like,
Um,
and so then I ended up chasing that, like interning for like a magazine in Brampton, like a local one. And then I ended up like managed to somehow, some way get credentials to a Raptor, so to a Cleveland Cavaliers shoot around that was happening at Scotiabank Arena, Air Canada at the time.
yep.
And then talking to Tristan Thompson, Kyrie Irving, who was on that team. Um, I remember seeing I think it was like, was it Tyler Cody? No, Tyler Zeller. I think it was Tyler
Okay.
Zeller
Okay.
and Luol Deng. And just thinking my myself, I'm like, whoa, is this real life? Is this alcohol? Like, and so yeah, so but that was like my initial like exposure to
Okay.
it. Like that was just because I volunteered at my local Brampton like magazine, and I don't think I got paid a dime, but like
Right.
that's okay.
Right, right, right. Again, I think it goes back to that point of putting yourself in those spaces, and things will naturally, and you use the word manifestor, like things will naturally sort of manifest themselves. And so I hear that loud and clear. Savannah, this is so awesome. I still appreciate you sharing the way you have, and serving, and really, I mean, it's serving as inspiration to so many people. And I tell you, every time I see you, I smile at you, and I'm proud because I love that you're doing, and I think it's amazing, and the manner in which you're doing it too. And so commend you for that. Thank you for doing this and taking some time out of your busy schedule. If you notice, we didn't get any Raptors talk. I didn't want to, we're kind of up and down with them right now, and so I'm it's a sore spot a little bit. I mean, we lost our whole team. Well, they're gone. The championship team is gone. Come on.
I,
I mean,
we gotta change. We gotta grow. We gotta evolve.
we do.
I know. I feel you though. That was the squad. Like you look back at that Slam, was it Slam magazine cover
Yes,
of
it
all of them?
was.
Just like, that
Yes,
was
it
sick. That
was.
was sick. Yeah, no, for
Oh,
sure. I feel you, but I'm happy. We're ushering a new era. New era.
okay, okay, okay. Well, listen, this is awesome. Thank you, Savannah.
Well, no, thank you for filling my cup. I love your energy. You just literally give me energy, so I appreciate it.
You're good. You're good. You're so cool.
You are.